All right. So now that we've already had our cold open.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Right? Our unrecorded or not safe for TV cold open.
Right. It's funny. Lori's kids. So Lori has 3 kids. They overlap ours. So your oldest is older than our youngest, but the twins are in Megan's class, right?
Yeah. So I have twins with Megan, and then my oldest will be a sophomore at IU.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. It's crazy. All of our kids went to the same grade school, pretty much kindergarten through 8th grade. So you're there for 9 years.
And then high school.
And then you get to high school, which obviously only 4, and it feels like this. And then college feels like that, maybe even faster.
Yes.
It's crazy. Before you know it, your oldest will be going into his senior year, and you're like, holy crap, now what?
I know. It's crazy.
What's he studying at IU?
He's still looking around a little bit. He likes finance. He likes investment. Looking a little bit of the AI side of things, real estate. So trying to figure it all out.
Nice.
But, had a great first year. And, you hope, his dad and I both went to IU, and we brought the kids up attending IU as often as possible. So you hope that they love it as much as you do and did. And he did. I mean, just out of the gate, it was just a great thing. And he went into a fraternity kind of intentionally where he didn't know a lot of people.
Nice.
He knew one, I think maybe 2, and just met a whole new group of friends. And so it was great to watch and, see the thriving and all of that. So
I think
that's awesome.
Our experiences, our mutual experiences with IU is obviously, some would say, oh, it's just too big. And that's fine. Once you get involved in things, though, it really shrinks the campus down. I'd say it's probably the same for Purdue.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like anything else in life, it's who you surround yourself with, right?
Right.
And if he had a great freshman year and these new friends that he's made are, similar mindset, then, what's not to enjoy?
It's great. And then he comes home for the summer, and he's with all of his IHM and his Chittard friends.
Yeah.
And so it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. So. What's he doing this summer?
He thinks it's his last year lifeguarding. So.
Okay.
But he's working about 38 hours at the Rivy, and
nice.
One of the senior guards. So, he thought, I have a couple years of internships in my whole life of work. So let's do one more relaxing kind of workplace. So he can still get up and get to the gym, the important things.
Yeah. I can't wait to revert back to that, where I just have to get up and go to the gym, do a little lifeguarding and call it a day. That sounds awesome.
Go play some pickleball.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Try not to break a hip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right. Well, enough of the summer fantasies. Let's get rolling here. Is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Summits Podcast. Thank you all for joining us from wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're tuning into the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in. If you're on there and you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so. We will not send a lifeguard to save you. You can do it on your own. It doesn't cost you a dime. Also, while you're there, hit that notification bell icon so you can be alerted when new episodes like this one drop. We would greatly appreciate it. Actually, here's a challenge. Go in the comments. Let us know what was your favorite summer job growing up. Or if you're younger, what is your current favorite summer job? We'd love to know. It has nothing to do with the podcast, but it'd be kind of fun to watch.
On that topic, what was each of your favorite summer jobs?
I was a lifeguard also, so I think, and I did a little bit at the country club where I worked pro shop, so I think the combo of that was
good?
Fun. Yeah.
I never lifeguarded. Mom had already started the frozen yogurt store thing, so we were basically working in the frozen yogurt stores. Mom doesn't, I don't know if she watches the podcast or not.
This will be the one she watches.
Yeah.
Come on, Sue.
So
I'll send it to her.
I had several in high school. I had several high school buddies or friends that worked as well. Mm-hmm. I was a little more responsible just knowing it was my mom's, but we were still high school kids.
Yeah.
And we were not super responsible. And so their story, that's safe for a different podcast.
That's a different day.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
So I worked at a gym through high school and in the summers, and then I also worked for the Brookfield Group, and in the summers worked for my dad. So, combination of those two. I mostly folded towels at the gym, and it was pretty easy. Worked there during
Pretty
school
easy.
too. Yeah. Let's work after school most days.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
Very
there
good.
you go.
We like that.
All sorts of fun stuff to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, today our guest is Miss Lori Wheeler. Lori, welcome to the Summits Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Why don't you provide us a little background on yourself?
Sure. I'm from Richmond, Indiana, so go Red Devils. Born and raised there and attended Indiana University, graduated, did a study abroad program.
Where'd you go?
I was in Austria for my
really?
study abroad.
Oh, cool.
And then Graz, Austria, university there. And then post-graduation, loved it so much that went back and did an internship in Wolfrat, Germany, right outside of Dusseldorf. And then moved to Passau, Germany, and was determined to live there for a good 5 years. And I lived there until my money ran out. Was under a year.
Yeah.
Traveled. Wouldn't change it for the world. It will be something that I strongly demand my children to do. Just when else are you that young and carefree and absorb
No other responsibilities.
Yeah, and all the
everything.
history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're stirring up some emotions only because Mia, who you know, my
Yes.
daughter, who will be a senior at IU, her boyfriend, who's a year older, he did his study
Right.
abroad's like commonplace now. Like
Yes.
it wasn't. Maybe it was just starting that way when I went through, and became more common as you went through because you're way younger than I am.
oh yeah, way.
But it's pretty commonplace today.
Yes.
I wish that was the case back then. Anyway, her boyfriend did his year abroad. Then I'm like, what you just said, Mia, you got to do it. Like, when else are you gonna have this luxury of being able to do that, especially on someone else's dime? Like,
Yes.
I'd
Yeah.
do it in a heartbeat if I were
Yeah.
you. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I hope she doesn't have the regret. Sorry, Mia. But
Yeah, I was fortunate. I had a professor that strongly urged it.
Yeah.
And, thankfully she did. And I went to Grandma and Grandpa and said, hey.
I've got an idea.
And then when I came back and they wanted to see the photo album, back then you made your photo albums. And there
That's your
wasn't a
book
picture
report.
with me without, a giant stein of dark beer. My grandfather was questioning what they paid for exactly. But
Yeah.
Well, you didn't pay for that beer. I paid for the beer.
Yeah.
But everything around
Yes,
it.
sure.
that was-
Yeah.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on the whole thing is, having traveled for a amount, it's yes, you were going to school over there, as these students do, but I think they learn more through the experience.
it's the experience.
Yeah, it's all about that. Not it is
Navigating
educated- right.
travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to learn stuff just by having to fend for themselves and learn
Yeah.
to do things. And yes, in the end, it's all about retaining those experiences that they'll remember for years.
Yeah. And being surrounded by the history. I mean, there's
Yeah.
such history.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we tried.
I know.
tried.
Yeah.
Come on, Mia.
I know. So when you came back from Germany, then what?
So then I went and had a job hunt. And so while I was job hunting, I got a job at Champs on the North Side.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I worked there for about 6 months and then applied for in the liquor and wine industry. Loved the vineyards over in Germany when I was there and just thought maybe that's a way to get involved, and ended up working for Olinger Distributing, which then was bought by Glacier and is now Southern Glazier's Wine and Spirits. So
Okay.
I was there off and on almost 20 years, I think, close to 19. Many of those ended up being, part-time consulting type with the kids being young and staying home.
Okay.
But it was, it's where I met my husband. So that was great. And yeah, I have, fond memories of my beginning selling skills in that industry, and still great friends with a lot of the original people I work with. A lot of us try to get together for lunch quarterly, and so no regrets there.
Nice.
Yep. Awesome. Her excuse me, her husband, Seamus, I knew from high school. He's a few years younger than I am as well, but it's funny how all these, it's Indianapolis, right?
Yes.
All these lives intersect at different ways. And then Lori saying she's from Richmond. Then Nate Holm, who's now the head pro at Woodstock, was an assistant at Highland, only to find out Lori used to babysit him when he
Yep.
was a younger kid.
Yeah.
It's like 2 ways back to Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon.
I
once
know.
again.
hilarious.
It's crazy. It's
It is.
crazy. Yep.
Well, Lori, I know the story. You've been very instrumental in volunteerism for the Heroes Foundation for several years, but a lot of that has been spurred by your cancer story. So, Lori, what is your cancer story?
Yeah, sure. I think, I was thinking on the drive, and when did it impact me? And I guess I'm fortunate in that it didn't impact me until I was a high schooler. I had two friends lose a parent to cancer. One was a mother and the other a father, two different friends. And it was my first time witnessing just all the heartache and, the loss and the toughness and navigating that on a family, especially a family with young children, and how the community came together, and just, really heart-wrenching. And both of those lost their battle while we were in high school. And so fast forward, back in Indy, probably early 2000s, and one of those friends who's lost his mom, he got diagnosed, I think it was around 2004, with colon cancer. So, it stirred it all up again of, oh my gosh, he was married, he had two young children, and around that same time, my oldest niece, I'm the youngest of my siblings, so my oldest niece, her son was a baby and diagnosed with brain cancer. And then we had a teacher, Owens, reading specialist at IHM, had cancer return. And so that was all right there in probably about 2010. Okay. And it was just a hard time. It was the kids were getting to the age where they were asking questions, and especially with an infant cousin, and scared, and what is all of this? And so that was kind of around the time I was getting to know you and Cindy more, with the kids being in school. And, it was, gosh, like, I've got to get involved. I don't have a medical background, and I don't, have all the money in the world to give, but I've got to kind of model for the kids, what can we do to do our part with all of this. My friend who was battling the colon cancer ended up passing away. Thankfully, my niece's son is doing well, but living with a lot of health issues from, everything he went through as an infant. And then obviously the teacher from IHM passed. And, kids are kids. They're resilient and they keep moving on. But, it was the opportunity, I felt like, that we had the discussion with, you've got to do all the things, right? How can we help others? And we can help ourselves by, exercising every day, whether it's playing a sport. We can, eat well, wear our sunscreen, obviously, but then we find ways to help. And if it's with a family that needs help, or, a foundation or a way in the community, give back. And so that was kind of what we were doing, and trucking right along with all of that. And then in 2019, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, went for his routine colonoscopy. He was 50 years old. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I'll never forget where I was. I was actually with a lot of the moms from IHM. We were having a Friendsgiving lunch. Mm-hmm. And I got the call from my sister, and it was just gut-wrenching. It was, it's stage 4. It's, what are we doing? And, and you just never think, oh my gosh, here's this healthy principal. He was a coach. He had been a Spanish teacher, a driver's ed teacher. His students loved him. His teachers loved him. The families loved him. And how is this happening? Mm-hmm. He's got these 3 young boys. And it was going through that first Thanksgiving where it was no one knew. My sister and he knew, and my husband and I knew, and Thanksgiving they were hosting was going to go on like normal, and we were all just going to,
Yeah.
And so, it was, whoa, here we are, and it just reconfirmed we've got to just do more. I mean, I'm, probably constantly actively praying for 6 people at one time. Somebody, wins the fight, or somebody, unfortunately doesn't. And then, 3 more come to the table. And mm-hmm. It's just so hard and so devastating. And, you watch the ripple effect, right, that goes on when this happens. So, with my brother-in-law, it's not only my sister and my nephews and he, but then his parents and his siblings, his childhood friends, his fraternity brothers, all the people he worked for, all the students, looking up to him, and he's not there. And, you realize, gosh, what can I do? What can we all do? I mean, we all have to do our part. And that's kind of what we're trying to model is what's our part and how can we do more?
Yeah. I remember when that time came and it was at a point where you guys were starting to share the story. And then your sister had attended several of the events, and ultimately then your brother-in-law was there at several. How long did he live after diagnosis?
The magic 5 years.
Was it 5 years? Okay.
Yeah. So we had, kudos to all the doctors. He was at IU quite a bit, and he was with, I believe it's Sarah Cannon. Is that out of Nashville? Sarah Cannon Cancer Center. He had amazing care. Talk about, the world coming around. One of his favorite nurses, he went and got treatment on the east side because he was the principal at New Powell High School.
Okay.
And so then one of his nurses, I think, went to high school with Seamus. So it's all of these. But he always just said when it came to treatment, he had the most amazing doctors and nicest people he wished he had never met.
Yeah.
And, he did, everything he could do from chemo to radiation to surgeries. And then I think he ended up doing 6 clinical trials. And one would, stop working and another one would start. And those were difficult. Most of those were in Nashville. So it would be getting up and driving to Nashville and leaving my sister and the boys behind. And then she's trying to get kids to everywhere and her where she needed to be. So, and you have your village, right? But it's just a toll that just ripples and it's hard. It's a lot.
Yeah. We had a guest not long ago that we were talking about the mental health aspect of all this, both the mental health of the patient, but also everyone else that's affected by it, family members, caretakers, etc. Looking back on that situation now and maybe the continued effects, I suspect you see a mental health piece to this experience for sure.
I do. And what's crazy is, I see it on my sister and just all the weight. I mentioned a little bit earlier, my nephews are all amazing baseball players and play for their school and travel teams. And so, they're doing that right now, which is great because that's their dad did it with them. He coached them. He was with them every step of the way. It's where they need to be. Yeah, it's gut-wrenching because he's not there and it's his first season not there. And the stress of her trying to navigate 3 travel baseball teams. And at the beginning of the season, the school teams were still going. So it was school.
Oh my gosh.
And then the travel practices and, and that's when his brother and family have stepped up, Seamus and I, the kids, we're here. Like, thankfully mine are all driving now. So I have free evenings. So let me do the logistics and all that. But yeah, the mental health is, a lot. And you're a teenager and some of that is a blessing, right? Because you're so involved and self-absorbed and, but it's also, you worry about the things that aren't said and the moments. I know at least 2 of my kids' college essays were about how cancer has impacted them. And not ways that I thought they would write about. And so then you really, are wowed by, gosh, this is so much deeper and they think about this. And so, yeah, the mental health and the available resources. And then you think of a family that has 3 kids and 3 different schools, and how are you getting them out of school to get to this therapy? And then that's 3 different appointments, 3 different, it's hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing from what you can remember with the essays, what did they write about?
I believe my oldest was about, inner strength. you know, his started off with the impact of the teacher who was his reading specialist when he was in kindergarten and first grade, and just, you know, how that loss, and then, you know, my cousin's son, so his second cousin, and then Keith, just watching the battle and digging in for that inner strength, and then how that turned into, you know, when he didn't get teams he wanted for athletics, or maybe, you know, things didn't go the way and he'd put in all the work. It was, you know, how he grew from that. So it was pretty great. And then the other one was just about, you know, all of the lessons that it was mostly about my brother-in-law, and just the lessons. And, you know, he was great with communicating with the kids and, you know, thanking them for being there for his boys. Would often thank my daughter, because she's the only girl, for being the only girl with all the boys. I keep telling her, someday you're going to have a lot of great sister-in-laws.
Yeah.
Right.
And just, you know, the impact that he had on, you know, the community around him, and seeing that, and just how grateful she was to be with them every step of the way. We had a beautiful experience at the end where not only my sister's kids, but each of my kids got to sit with him alone, which, you know, we wouldn't trade for anything.
Yeah.
But that had, you know, an amazing impact on them. So
You've been one of the instrumental volunteers for the Heroes Foundation over the last several years. We talk about turning emotion into action, and you kind of already alluded to this earlier with about, you know, giving back. And I think I wrote down, where did I put it here? Oh, helping ourselves by helping others. What am I trying to ask? If you were going to encourage others, we talk about ways of giving back. It's not always monetary, right?
Right.
There's a numerous ways to give back, whether it's for the Heroes Foundation or any other organization in town. I guess, what advice would you give to others who may have that emotion, how they could turn that emotion into action? And I guess, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I just think there's so many ways to be involved, and especially living through the thick of it. You know, it's standard, and this is when there's any kind of death, that when all the dust settles, you know, everybody else goes back to the normal life, right? You know, the meals stop, you know, the calls, are you okay? The texts, the let me go clean up your yard. And by all means, I'm not saying that for my sister's group of community, because they've gone well above and beyond. But I think that's something that is easy to do for help. You know, if you don't have a foundation or a way that you can volunteer, you know, with an organization or a hospital, everybody knows somebody that is fighting that battle. And it's the little things of, can I mow a lawn? Can I drop off a meal? You know, I don't need to know you to drop off a meal or mow your lawn, you know, check on the allergies, and we should be good to go. But, you know, anything that you can do with that, you know, it's just, it makes a huge difference, you know, when you know, my sister example comes home, and, you know, now the boys are older, they mow the lawn, but when they were younger, you know, that was done, or her landscaping and leaves, somebody just came and took care of it. My brother-in-law's fraternity brothers all asked if they could do something. He was still alive, but it was at the end of the last few weeks, and it was getting to the holidays. And I said, I just want to get their house outlined in those big Christmas lights. I think for the boys, every time they come home, and it's so, you know, sad, and, you know, not a lot of hope, that this is just going to put a smile on their face. So shout out to Blingle. I called her and reached out to her right away, and they came immediately, fit her in, and the fraternity brothers all put in the money. And so, you know, there's money or not, you know, there's ways that you can just shine a little bit of light and help.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Well
I
played.
didn't mean that.
This is going to sound a little selfish, but what I mean, like I said, you've been volunteering for Heroes for probably a decade.
Yeah.
What aspect of that volunteering do you enjoy the most and look forward to?
You know, to be honest, I like it all. I think pretty quickly, I was really impressed, you know, with you and Cindy's dedication. Obviously, you could have, you know, won your battle and walked away and said yes and lived your life. But, you know, the fact that you just rolled up your sleeves and doubled down and was like, I'm going to do more, and somebody has to do more, that was just enough with what I had dealt with by then. And that wasn't even the biggest loss that I had yet even was knowing I was going to encounter. So I think just because I've been to the events and then I've watched over the years how it's grown and the impact, it's, you know, I'll help with anything. I'll set up an auction. I'll see if I can get donations. You know, I'll volunteer if you're short help. You know, I just think it's just such a great organization that, you know, there's not anything that I really don't like. So
Wow.
Put me, you know,
And
it's a little
Yeah,
confusing to make sure I'm on a good project.
Yeah, there we go.
That's fine. That's fair. That's fair. Well, we are you know, still very sorry to hear about Keith.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times when you brought him to a couple of the events. Great guy, incredible husband. Your sister-in-law, or sorry, your sister has attended many events, and I know she has pitched in as well. So kudos to you as a great aunt for stepping up for your nephews and helping out.
Thanks.
You know, I think your extended village is there to help too, where we can. So
Right, yeah.
keep us in mind as well. Hopefully they'll become Hoosiers too.
I will. So they were Boilermakers. Well, my
I
brother-in-law.
know, I saw that.
Okay.
So we all wore Boilermaker clothes to the calling, which was very difficult for my IU family, but that's
You
how
should be super proud
I
of
know.
them. All IU
Yeah.
family, and they were all decked out in Purdue
we
stuff.
called all
Nice.
of our Purdue friends and
Nice.
had a couple of friends that helped us out and gave us some really good
Had to
good
borrow
gear.
some attire. Yeah.
But that's just, you know, we'd have done anything for him,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and we know that when our two families got together, it was IU versus Purdue. You know, it was, we're all red and white, they're black and gold. But then he was the principal at New Pal, which is red and white. So then I would always give the dig of, you're doning that, you know,
Yeah.
red and white really well.
it's gonna rub off on you. Yeah.
So it's it was just an amazing, you know, he was an amazing person, and it was easy to do anything for him, you know.
Yeah.
I think Keith's legacy, as well as the legacies of the others that you mentioned, Diane being one, and some of the others. And to your point, you said, you know, like it never ends.
Never ends.
You know, I think we cross off one story, and two more show up.
Yep.
And that's what keeps the fire burning. You know, we've had
Right.
multiple people ask. I get the question all the time. I'm sure you guys get it too. Like, why do you continue to do this? And it's
Yeah.
because the freaking list never ends. And I mean, you guys know me well enough. I'm pretty competitive. It ticks me off.
Yeah.
And yes, we're making advances, but people are still going to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
Right.
We hope that at some point in time, it's like taking an Advil for a headache, but we got a long way to go.
Yep.
We do.
And so we're just going to continue to do our part to help out. And whether that's funding research to find better treatments, more successful treatments, more manageable treatments, or I should say, and dealing with the head trash that comes with it,
Right.
whether it's the patient or the family, the caregivers, et cetera.
Yep.
You know, that's what we continue to do. And you know, by the way, what can we do to educate ourselves to try to reduce our chances? Sometimes we win the
Yes.
lottery,
Right.
we want to win, and it's
Yeah.
going to happen. But we all know there's things we can do to help reduce those risks. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of spreading that. And I thank you both for being a part of that team and that family and helping us out. So I don't want you to think that you're taken for granted.
Oh, gosh. No,
You've
no.
put in, both of you have put in a lot of time and energy and effort, and so we greatly appreciate it. And the foundation would not be where it's at without more folks like you guys. So
Yeah.
he's heard it, but Lori, we'll make sure you hear it. And
Yeah,
we
no,
greatly
of
appreciate
course.
what you and
Yeah.
Seamus and the fam do.
Yep.
Happy to do it, and you know, hoping that there's some good results coming up in the future. I mean, science is wonderful and promising, so we're very hopeful and just, happy to make a difference where we can.
Yeah,
really.
Well, we appreciate that. Every bit helps.
Yeah.
All right. And thank all you guys for joining us on this episode of the Summits Podcast. We appreciate you for providing your ears and eyes to what we're trying to talk about here. If you're looking for volunteer opportunities in your state of Indiana, connect with the Heroes Foundation at heroesfoundation.org. We have plenty of opportunities. We'd be happy to talk to you about those. And in the meantime, all of this is in an effort to beat cancer.